Hi, this is Yvonne, and I'm here this evening with Monty Parman from May and Parman Realty Company here in Lebanon. Now, they also you also do insurance as well, and auctions. You do it all. You do it all.
We do it all.
Now, Monty, I'm going to give you the opportunity to brag a little bit on yourself tonight. How about that?
You don't really want to do that.
But you've been in real estate for quite a while.
I've actually been doing this now for 36 years.
I knew it was a while there.
I came in at 20 years old and been doing it ever since.
Okay, now what got you into real estate?
Well, my father was an owner in the agency, and while I was in college, he actually came to me and said, are you interested in coming back? And I said, I think I am. And he said, well, make up your mind. I'm going to give you a couple weeks to think about it. If you're coming back, I'm going to buy my partner out. If you're not, I might sell. So that's how it all ended up coming to be.
Family business.
Family business. He bought in as a half partner, and then he bought the business out in '76, and then I started buying the business out from my parents over the years to where it's been able to transition and stay in the family.
Fantastic. That's really great. Now, you've seen a lot of changes in real estate from the time you got in to now.
Oh, it's just like everything else. Real estate has just changed just as much as everything else you do.
Okay, and what people want in real estate. I remember there was a time when people were, for the first time, the first home that you would buy would be the smaller home, and then you'd go up a little higher in steps and all that. But people are reaching a little higher to start now, aren't they?
They are, but you still do have the people starting with the basic starter home. But I think, you have people waiting a little longer to get married. They're not getting married at 17, 18, 19 now. They're both out. They both have good jobs, and some of those do start out with the higher end homes instead of at the base. But there is a largest part of the segment is still starting out with your starter home. When I came to work, a starter home, a brand new brick ranch, 3-bedroom, 1-bath home ran about $21,000. Brand new. And the typical starter home now is going to run you $100,000 and up. So, and I'm just talking about a basic starter home now to run about $100,000.
Wow, so things have changed quite a bit. What are some of the programs now that you have for home buyers?
There are so many programs now, and it used to be, when I first came to work, you had to have a 20% down payment. And interest rates were 8.5% if you didn't want your interest rate fixed, and they were 9% if you wanted a fixed rate. And you had to have a 20% down payment. Well, nowadays, of course, interest rates are down, and that was on a 20-year mortgage. There wasn't anything now. A 30-year mortgage was unheard of at that time. Now you're talking about 30-year interest rates at about 3.75 on a fixed rate mortgage, and down payments will vary depending on the income bracket you fall in. The lower you are on the income bracket, the less down payment you have. But anybody can qualify for a loan with only 3.5% down. And there are a lot of programs. People say, well, I'm a first-time home buyer. That really is not the key now. It's what is your income level, which program you'll fall into. And then we can get them into, just an example here, I actually ran this before I came in. And if you did if you ran a mortgage calculation, and this is a person buying a $100,000 home. Borrowing all the money at 3.75% interest on a 30-year term, including their homeowner's insurance, their property taxes, and a fee called PMI. Now, what PMI is, that is a fee that protects the lender in event of default by the purchaser or the borrower. That's how you're able to borrow 100%. But this is if somebody came in and had no money down, and if you calculate that payment, counting insurance, taxes, and PMI, it's $688 a month. So they can get in a $100,000 home, including their homeowner's insurance, their property taxes, and their PMI. Now, if you go, and what's really amazing is the principal and interest. In other words, if you were paying just the interest and the principal, is only $463 a month on a $100,000 purchase. And that's no money down. Now, these loan programs do have fairly high closing costs. You know, on a $100,000 loan, you're looking at running $4,000 in closing costs. Well, you are allowed to build the closing cost into the purchase price of the home to where the buyer is still paying the closing cost, but they're building it into the sales price so they don't have to come up with out of pocket. Once again, they're basically walking into a $100,000 home with no money or with 3.5%.
Okay. Now, what's the lender looking for in a buyer?
Well, everything now, of course, is credit score driven.
Okay.
It is. Everything is credit score driven. If you haven't taken care of your credit and you don't have a good credit score, if you've just not done anything to have a good credit score, you're not got much chance of ever getting a loan. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people hit into that middle bracket to where they're not quite there to get the 100% loan. But most of the time, if they work with a good lender, and the lender can counsel them on what things they need to fix, usually in anywhere from 3 to 6 months, they can get their credit score up to an acceptable level.
Okay.
The better your credit score, the better interest rates you get. If you have a 740 or above credit score, you could get down as low as 3.25% interest. So everything's credit score driven. Then, of course, the other things they want to see, what is your capacity? How are you going to, they call it the 3 C's. Capital, capacity, and credit. Of course, credit we talked about with credit score. Capacity is how are you going to pay for it? Where is your income, monthly income coming from that you're going to be able to pay your bills, pay your house payment, and not be in foreclosure? That's length of time on the job, the stability of your job, or if you have other income such as Social Security, disability income, that can count. Even though you have a couple that neither one of them is employed but is receiving some kind of income package, then they can even qualify for these loan programs. So that doesn't mean it. And then, of course, capital is money down, and that used to be the biggie 30 years ago when I went in. That's what made it hard to sell homes. People having the capital or the down payment.
That 20%.
But that's gone now. So that's the last thing they look at. First they look at credit and then capacity. What is your credit score and where are you going to come up with the money to repay this payment?
Okay. All right, now we've talked about the sellers, or I'm sorry, the buyers of the homes. Let's talk about some sellers. Okay. Because I know you handle both ends of this.
Yes.
Okay. As far as sellers go, what can sellers do to make sure they get the maximum amount for their homes?
The first thing they need to do is they need to let the real estate agent come in.
Okay, get a professional.
Get a professional and go through their home and give them a market analysis. People think, well, the most important thing is that I stage my home. The most important thing is that I put new paint on the walls, that I do my landscaping, and those are important. But the number one thing that will sell your home or make your home sit on the market forever is the pricing. Okay. So many people think, well, okay, Monty, you say it's worth 100, but let's start out at 150, and if we have to come down, we will. That sounds great. But once your home has lost the effect of being on the market, new, you have lost so much of the potential of selling your home. And we stress that to people all the time. I was doing the program with Gary last week, and I think we had 11 new listings. Now, of those 11 new listings, 7 of them were either sold and closed or under contract, and they were still coming on as new listings for the paper. Now, that's what I'm talking about, pricing. And right now, it's really important. Pricing is important to make sure you ask enough and also to make sure you don't ask too much, because there is a competitive market. You have people now it's a good time to sell. There are people out looking. We just talked about the loan programs, why it's so good out there. So number one thing I will say is pricing.
Okay. Now, what goes into that market analysis?
That's real simple. On your typical home, there's 3 ways you do a market analysis: the income approach, the market value approach, and the reproduction approach. Now, on a typical home that people are buying to live in. You might do it on market value, the market approach. You look and see what is sold. We subscribe to a program through the Marion County PVA. We can pull up your neighborhood. Then we can pull up a layer that goes over top of that. It shows recent sale of the last 3 years. And while I'm sitting there in their home, I can pull right up on my iPad. I can say, okay, this house up the street sold. Here's how many square feet it has. This is how many square feet yours has. Here's what it sold for. And you show them a market value of what comparable homes are bringing in their area.
Okay, so we're talking about the comparable homes.
And then income approach is more like on apartment buildings. You show how much income it has coming in, a duplex or an apartment building. And that value is based more on how much net income it has versus what that home is worth to an investor.
Okay. So those are some things for a seller. But you did say that it is important to stage a little bit.
That's number one is pricing.
All right.
Number two is for your home to be not cluttered, to be clean and ready to present. Now, that's number two. I still haven't got into staging. Number three would be to go in if you have older carpets. Don't, call and get an estimate. You can't believe how inexpensive a room of carpet is. And you can't believe what an effect of new carpet has. Painting is more expensive than really putting down new carpet. But painting and fresh floor coverings are very important. Another thing that I think is very important, we'll get into that in staging, but those are important things. And outside, you don't have to rip all your landscaping up and put in new, but have it trimmed nicely. New, especially in the spring and the summer, new mulch or new landscaping stones. Make sure all the weeds are pulled. Make sure there's no weeds in the driveway. Make sure the outside of the house is nice and clean. The gutters are cleaned out. There's not mold and mildew on the siding and the gutters. Those things are big. And then the next thing would be staging of the home. And when we talk about staging, we're talking about decluttering. In other words, all the pictures and everything you got everywhere, get them down. Make the home make it clean and neat and not cluttered up. Those are the biggies. But like I said, people don't realize it, but pricing's number one.
Okay. Make sure you get that just the right price there, and
you get the market value of the price. You don't want to underprice it, and you don't want to overprice it.
Okay. All right. Now, I know that you sell a lot of homes here in Marion County and surrounding areas. What is the most popular style house you sell? You know what? That is something that changes constantly. Is it?
The big thing now is, I don't know if there's a certain style outside, whether it be a ranch, story and a half, 2-story, 1-story. But the big thing now is open floor plans. Everybody would have a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, a den, 3 bedrooms, and a couple of baths, and every room was separated. Well, now the big concept is you might have a living room, kitchen, dining room as one room. Your family room, your kitchen, your eating area are all one big open area. It might be L-shaped, it might be rectangular. And then you'll have the 3 bedrooms and at least the 2 baths. And another thing that is popular now is the split wing homes, where you have 2 bedrooms and a bath at one end and the master bedroom suite at another. Okay. So that's the biggest style. And then outside, that just varies so much by the person. You have people that do not want 2 levels. You have people that do want the multi-level home. But they do want it to have a good curb appeal as far as roof lines, having some nice cuts and turns to them. Okay.
Now I know that you sell houses year-round.
Yes.
But what is like the optimum time to sell your house?
There's not.
There's not, huh?
There's not. It's the market right now is driven the way it is now, and there is not a bad time. The real estate market was absolutely, before we had this big snow recently, it wasn't just hot, it was red hot. I mean, it was just every day we were selling a couple of houses or more. And the snow came, and it was slow on Monday. We actually went and opened a half a day. We opened on Tuesday, it was slow. Wednesday, started to pick back up. Thursday, showed houses all day long. Friday, all day long. Saturday, showed houses, had an appointment at 8:30 Saturday morning. So, and then that's what I've done. As soon as I'm through with this program, I'm going to meet somebody. So there's not a optimal time. There are some times when the market is slower. Believe it or not, right when school starts back, things slow down. And right before Christmas, things slow down. But right after Christmas, the market is every year, year in and year out, it's one of the hottest times. I don't know if everybody's home, gotten cabin fever, cooped up, and they go, you know, why don't we get ourselves another home?
Why not?
Yep.
Let's call Monty.
Yep, that's right. Always call Monty.
Well, Monty, I know that some people have the traditional home sale, and then others go for the auction. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, a traditional home sale, you actually put your home on the market. It's advertised. You set a listing price. The home is shown. There's offers made by the buyers. The seller can reject that offer, accept that offer, or make a counter offer. But the buyer and seller are both in control. I'll only give this, or I'll only take this. You get them together. Now, an auction is where you actually set a date, you have a time, and usually on a Saturday morning, you have an auction, and then the public, by auction method, determines what the home will bring. Now, your typical ranch home in a subdivision, where there's other homes just like it, is not the prime candidate for an auction. Two reasons. Number one, there's nothing that makes this house stand out and make people say that it's any different from any other houses. Secondly, so many people that are buying that type home need the 100% financing. That doesn't work in an auction sale. Now, if you've got a home that, especially in a state, and the home has some different character, an older location or a superior location, that's a prime candidate for an auction, because more than likely you're not looking for a first-time home buyer, a person who can come and buy as easily at auction as they can any other way. Of course, there's two types of auctions. There's an auction, which means it's an auction if the seller has the right to say, that's enough money, I'll sell it, or go, no, it didn't bring enough, I'm not going to sell it. 9 out of 10 auctions we have are an absolute auction, which means it's going to bring whatever it brings that day. And I encourage sellers, that's the way they should sell, because that's what will get the crowd and get the optimum value. But if they're not ready to commit to that, then I say, let's don't have an auction. Let's put it up and sell it the other way.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how does our market compare to surrounding areas? Do you know?
As far as price, you can't compare one market to the others. We have markets that our prices are higher. We have markets that our prices are lower. Now, as far as a good market, I think we have as good a market as anybody, because Marion County is fortunate enough that we have lots of employment opportunities for people here. You know, there's a lot of jobs to be had in Marion County, so we have a good, strong market. We have a good ability for people to come here and be able to buy their homes and pay for them. So that's a huge advantage for us there. But now, you take other areas, like people say, well, I want to list Mom's house, and they live in Louisville. And they go, well, Mom's house ought to be worth $200,000. And I said, that's what a home like hers would bring in Louisville. And I'd go, you're right, it probably would, but it won't bring it in Lebanon, Kentucky.
Yeah.
And but then again, we have areas that our prices are stronger too. So it just, you can't really compare counties, but you can compare market as far as how they sell. We don't have the number of people, the population base, to compare with Lexington and Louisville, as far as you hear about the 3 or 4 people making offers at a house at the same time. Now, you know, we do have that here, where we have multiple offers on homes at the same time. And we have areas, you get a new listing, if it's priced right and it's the right location and has the amenities people were looking for, it can be a competitive situation with multiple buyers trying to buy the home at the same time.
Wow. So we've got a really good market here in Marion County.
We have a really good market in Marion County, both for the buyer and the seller. People say, well, is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market? We're what you call a healthy market.
Got a little bit of both.
We're not, the scale doesn't lean one way or the other. You know, in 2009, when things slowed down, it was a buyer's market, because you had limited buyers, a large You know, it comes down to economics 101, supply and demand.
Yes.
The amount of the supply you had of qualified borrowers and buyers versus the houses on the sale was out of balance, so it was a buyer's market. Nowadays, you can just watch it. The supply of houses goes down, the number of buyers goes up, and the markets just adjust and come together. So you have a good, healthy market.
Okay. Now, you know, we just had this terrific snowstorm here a little bit ago. How does that, I know you're in insurance as well as real estate. Tell us a little bit about how that affected you and your market for insurance.
The snow we just had did not really affect insurance claims hardly, very little. A few automobile accidents, but as far as property, homeowner, business claims, this snow really didn't have the effect of creating claims. One reason being, if you went out and shoveled your driveway, it was a light snow. You know, we might have had 12 inches or 14 or 16, whatever it was, but it was light. Because one of the problems you have in insurance is collapse from the weight of the snow. Because I think it was back in the 90s, we had about 14 inches of wet, heavy snow. Yeah. We had a lot of collapse issues of buildings, roofs collapsing because of the weight. That's something you need to check with your insurance on. Do I have coverage for collapse due to the weight of ice and snow? Because that is sometimes, a lot of policies have it built in, some don't. You have to buy an endorsement to add that coverage on.
Okay, so they should check with you to find out, right?
They check with me or whoever they currently have their insurance with, yes.
All right, well listen, I've been talking to Monty Parman tonight from May and Parman Agency, who has real estate, he has auctions, and he has insurance, so he's got it all covered.
Yes, we do. We welcome people to call us with any questions they have. We're located right on Main Street at the sign of the time. Our phone number is 692-2153. Easiest place to get us is at mayandparman.com. Go there. It has all our phone numbers. Of course, anymore nobody calls you on a landline. Everybody calls you on your cell phone. You know, you can text us, email us, whatever, and we'll get back with you and be glad to serve your needs and answer any of your questions.
All right. Well, listen, Monty, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Okay, this has been your